Hello, mighty companions. This is Earl Purdy. I want to welcome you to A Course in Miracles here on Facebook Live. And I'm looking forward to going deep and continuing to go into this section, The Guiltless World. We're going to talk about what is the function of time? What is the function of time? What is the function of time from A Course in Miracles standpoint? But before we do that, we're going to start out with a song by Brother John Christmas. That's my favorite song to hear right now with all the things going on in the world today. And it's called I'm Not a Victim. World I see. Not a victim of the world I see. I'm not a victim of the world I see. I'm not a victim of the world I see. I'm not a victim, no. Of what? Of the world I see. No matter what seems to be happening out there. I'm not a victim of my mom. I'm not a victim of my pop. I'm not a victim of events or circumstance at all. I'm not a victim of the world I see. I'm not a victim of the world I see. Cause what's happening now is what I've done to me. I'm not a victim of the future, not a victim of the past, not a victim of anything that really doesn't last. I'm not a victim of the world I see. I'm not a victim of the world I see. Cause what's happening now is what I've done to me. What happened is what you've done to you. I'm not a victim of the world I see. I'm not a victim of the world I see. I'm not a victim, no, of the world I see. I want to welcome you to Course in Miracles. I'm Earl Purdy. We want to go deep. We're going to talk about the function of time. We're going to talk about the function of time. Remember that what's happening now is what I'm doing to me. Yeah. I'm not a victim of the North. I'm not a victim of the South. Not a victim of anything. So what comes out my mouth, I'm not a victim of the world I see. I'm not a victim of the world I see. Cause what's happening now is what I've done to me. Help me out now. I'm not a victim. I'm not a victim of the world I see. I'm not a victim. I'm not a victim of the world I see. I'm not a victim of the world I see. You are not asked to believe the ideas. You don't have to accept the ideas. You don't have to welcome the ideas. Some of the ideas may be hard to believe. Some of the ideas may be hard to believe. Some of the ideas may be quite startling. And some of the ideas may be hard to believe. I'm not a victim, not a victim of the world I see. I'm not a victim, not a victim of the world I see. Cause what's happening now is what I've done to me. Oh yeah. So what's happening to me is what I've done to me. I want to welcome you to the Course in Miracles. That's a course in right perception, a course in right answers. I'm your truth repetition teacher. The Course in Miracles keeps saying, don't forget, remember, remember, don't forget. So that's what I'm focusing in on as a teacher. 40 years of studying the Course in Miracles has taught me beyond a shadow of a doubt that analyzing the Course in Miracles does not work and it doesn't produce the miracles that the Course in Miracles is talking about. So if you can listen to this section today and you can walk away with one thing that you heard that you want to remember and that you want to apply to anything that comes up, then that's going to do you much more good than trying to analyze the Course in Miracles and trying to figure it out. There's nothing to figure out because it's just sharing with you exactly what it means, and it means what it says. And we're in chapter 13. And the chapter 13 is the chapter that's called the guiltless world, the innocent world. And we're going to talk about the function of time, but before I go into the function of time, I want to finish the last paragraph of the previous section. Chapter 13 in the Foundation for Inner Peace version, section 3 and paragraph 12. And it's on page 244. And remember, the Course in Miracles says the use of the ideas, that's what will give the ideas meaning to you and will show you that the ideas are true, mighty companions. Thank you for coming online. Thank you for all the feedback that I've been getting from you from all parts of the globe. There's so much going on right now that I'm hearing from people from everywhere saying, what the hell? Sometimes that's the only thing to be in the message. So I'm going to go through paragraph 12, and we're going to go back and see if we can get what it's saying. It says to single out is to make alone. If you're singled out, do you know that you are alone? If I single you out from everyone else, it actually makes you alone. And the Course in Miracles says, and that would be what would make you lonely. So to be singled out is to make alone, and that would make lonely. It says, God did not do this to you. So what is it that God did not do to you? God did not single you out. God did not single you out. And remember, we were talking about last week that what happened was at some point, the Course says in your spiritual evolution, as a soul, you wanted to be treated special. And the Course says you ask God, which is love, for specialness. And Spirit is not going to give you specialness in the sense that God would love all of God's creations equally. God would never single anybody out and make them more special than anyone else. That's what we do. That's what we do. We single certain people out, and then we make those people special than anyone else. So another word for God is love. So you could say, love did not do this to you. Love actually would not single you out. Love is all inclusive. Love is equal. Love doesn't love part of itself more than another part of itself. So from a Course in Miracles perspective, love is nothing like what we practice in this physical world, in this physical dimension, where our love is special. So the Course in Miracles says, could God set you apart knowing that your peace lies in God's oneness, which you could take as saying, open up. Which is, you could take that as saying that if all of your peace comes from being in oneness and not being singled out, the Course in Miracles says, why would God set you apart? Why would love set you apart? Why would love make you alone? Why would love make you separate? If love knows that your peace lies in the oneness of love. Now, before you may be tempted to think that this may not be true, I'd like you to consider something. The world that we live in is a reflection of the way that we love and what we believe love is. So it's a good possibility that the way we do it is just the opposite of the way that it should be done. Because if the way we were doing it was the right way to do it, we'd have a much more peaceful world and much more peaceful relationships than we have. Yeah. So the truth is, be willing to be wrong in order to be happy. Be willing that your way of looking at things, if it's not bringing you constant peace, is something that you need to be willing to let go of, Earl. So I'll say that again. Whatever area in your life that you're not experiencing a deep peace that cannot be affected, the Course in Miracles is saying, then your perception is wrong. Your perception is incorrect. So the first thing it's telling us is that the truth is, no matter what you think, when you're singled out, you're really opening up a can of worms. Because one thing, once you want to be special, then you got to defend that specialness. You got to try to make sure you don't lose that specialness. You're going to have a lot of bargains that you're making with each other in order to keep that specialness. And then if anyone does not keep the bargain of specialness, then the specialness is withdrawn, and a lot of times the relationship ends. So specialness is not your friend. Specialness is not your friend. Wanting to be special is not your friend. But if you do want to be special, then the Course in Miracles says Spirit will use whatever you made as a tool for waking you up. So even if you do have the specialness addiction, and by specialness I mean you being singled out and separated from love, and then you got to try to maintain that position, and you got to try to maintain that position every way you can. So love doesn't do that. So when you ask for specialness, the Course in Miracles wants to let us know. Now, the Course in Miracles at this point is describing to us how our Creator operates, how God operates, how love operates. Not necessarily what we believe, how we believe love, and how we believe God expresses God's self. The Course is saying, I'm going to tell you how I say this book, this curriculum says God operates. First of all, love is going to be for everybody equally, and it's not going to single anybody else out. If you were singled out, then you would be plucked from the oneness, and you'd be alone, and you'd be separate. The Course says that your peace lies in the oneness of love. Your peace lies in the oneness of love. And so it turns around and says, God has denied you only your request for pain. So if you think that your peace comes from being separate, that will never work. It will never work at a permanent level. And so the Course in Miracles says, love denied you only your request for pain, because suffering is not God's creation. Suffering is not love's creation. And repetition, suffering, God does not cause suffering. God does not cause suffering. God does not cause suffering. God is not punishing anybody. Love is not punishing anybody. Love does not cause suffering. Love does not cause suffering. If you're suffering, you're not in love. If you're suffering, you're not in love. If you're suffering, it's not love that you're in. If you're suffering, it's not love that you're experiencing. And our Creator does not cause suffering. God does not cause suffering. God does not punish. God does not punish. The Creator does not punish. Love does not punish. What did I say? Love does not punish. God does not punish. The Course in Miracles says, love only denied you your request for pain, because what? Suffering is not God's creation. Suffering is not love's creation. If you're suffering, wherever you're suffering, it's not coming from love. If you're in a relationship and you're suffering, that suffering is not coming from the love in the relationship. The suffering is coming from the fear in the relationship, the separation in the relationship, the misperception in the relationship. Love does not cause suffering. According to the Course in Miracles, there is no anger in love. There is no guilt in love. There's no attack in love. There's no grievances in love. There's no jealousy in love. There's no possession in love. There's no trying to control somebody else in love. There's no limit that you're trying to put on anybody else in love. So that pretty much disqualifies maybe about 99% of the relationships that all of us know. Right? Right? So the Course in Miracles is saying that having given you creation, and what is creation? Having given you the ability to extend love. When it says having given you creation, it says, it's talking about, I have given you the ability to extend. The Course in Miracles teaches that creation is extension. So creation is extending the love. I want you to imagine an antenna before you extend it. When you extend the antenna, it's just like the rest of the antenna. You just extended it outward. That's what the Course in Miracles says creation is. Creation is an extension of what's already there. Creation isn't anything different. Creation is an extension of the love that's already there. So that's what it means when it says, having given you creation, having given you the ability to extend love, having given you the ability to extend freedom, having given you the ability to extend joy, love could not take it away from you. What does that mean? Love doesn't take away your joy. Love doesn't take away your joy. If it's love, it's not taking away your joy. If it's love, it's not asking you to sacrifice. If it's love, it's not asking you to lose. If it's love, it's not asking you to sacrifice. Someone who loves you is not trying to make you sacrifice for them. Someone who loves you is not trying to make you feel guilty because you don't do what they want you to do. Love has no suffering in it. Love has no sacrifice in it. Love has no guilt in it. Love has no anger in it, according to A Course in Miracles. So don't write me quoting other books. I'm not denying that other books may say other things, but I'm not teaching an other book course. I'm teaching A Course in Miracles. I'm just going to tell you straight up. I don't deal with that stuff. I'm teaching A Course in Miracles. I'm teaching out of A Course in Miracles. And so therefore, what I say is coming from the book, which means that this idea of love, I like a lot better than the idea of love that I've learned from the world. Because I don't think people would suffer as much if they knew what they were getting into before they got into it. I want to get to the point that I recognize misery and go the other way from the very beginning. I want to get to the point I can recognize when someone's not offering me the truth and love from the very beginning. And so the Course has already told me this. If you really love me, then you love somebody else beside me. I'll say that again. If you really love me, your love is inclusive. If you really love me, your love, which the Course defines as freedom, then you're going to not only free me, you're going to free others. That's what loving me means. You're going to free me, and you're also going to free others. I take it this way because I want to do what the Course in Miracles is saying. And the Course in Miracles is saying, you guys don't know the difference between love and fear. Y'all don't really know the difference between something that's real and something that's not. And you're making it up as you go along. And you know the way you're making it up is wrong because you don't have constant, permanent, ever-expanding joy. The Course in Miracles does not count temporary joy and happiness as true joy and true happiness. That's another thing about the Course. You can't be happy for 15 minutes, and then 15 minutes later, you're unhappy, and what you just experienced was real happiness. The Course calls that the illusion of happiness. The Course calls that a special form of fear that you like. You know, if I'm happy because I just got a new car, and then 30 minutes later, I'm unhappy about the bill I got to pay, then that wasn't true joy about the car. So no true joy ends. Temporary joy does. And the Course just calls that a form of fear you like. So being happy about just getting the car is a form of fear I like if I could give my happiness away 10 minutes later about something that's got to do with the car. Okay, real happiness has nothing to do with anything outside of yourself. Real happiness has nothing to do with anything outside of yourself. Real happiness has nothing to do with anybody outside of yourself. Real happiness is something that is internal, that is extending from within you, that will be there permanently, no matter what, when you get in touch with what real happiness is. And that's how you can tell the difference between something that's real and something that's not is what? What's real is permanent, what's unreal is temporary. I know that's too simple, so most people will not even hear what I just said, right? And I understand that, but I'm just here to deliver the message. It's not up to me to be in charge of how you receive it. That's up to you. But I want to make sure it's clear. It says God could not take it away from you. Having given you creation, having given you love, love couldn't take it from you. But God, your creator, could do what? Answer your, what kind of request? Insane. The Course in Miracles says only an insane mind would be asked to be singled out from the rest of creation so that it could be by itself trying to make it. So the Course in Miracles calls that what? An insane request. But it says God, our creator, is going to give us a sane answer that would abide with us in our insanity. So the Course in Miracles is saying what to us? That while we think love is something that can be singled out, that you can lose as well as achieve, you're insane, because love doesn't work that way. So the Course in Miracles says, well, I'm going to give you a sane answer. I'm going to give you the truth that you can count on while you are in insanity, which is a state of fear. The Course in Miracles would define insanity as a state of fear, because only the insane are fearful in the sense that you're out of touch with your connection with love. You're out of touch with your connection with God. So the Course's definition of insanity is different from the world's definition of insanity. The Course in Miracles' definition of insanity is thinking that you could be alone, thinking that you are not loved, thinking that your creator isn't available to you, thinking that you got to figure it all out by yourself, thinking that you are separate from everybody. That's what the Course in Miracles calls an insane mind. Wow. So how do I know I have an insane mind? I know that I have an insane part of my mind because there is a part of my mind that still sometimes gets caught up in fear, anger, guilt, and grievances, and unforgiveness. So if there's a part of my mind that has guilt, anger, grievances, attack, and unforgiveness, how do I know that there's a part of my mind that has anger, guilt, attack, and unforgiveness? Because I perceive it in my world. Because I perceive it. Whatever you perceive is in your mind. Whatever you perceive is in your mind. Do you know that whatever you see is in your mind? If I see anger, it's in my mind. If I see attack, it's in my mind. The ego, the insane part of my mind says, no, I'm nothing like that. I'm nothing like them. I don't have that kind of mind. If you see it, it's in your mind. If you see it, it's in your mind. If it wasn't in your mind, what did I say? You could not perceive it. You could not see it. Now, I always try to give people an opportunity to say to themselves, to anything that I say from the Course, yes, but. Yes, but, you know what I'm saying? We always have, yeah, but don't forget one rule that the Course in Miracles gives about anything that's the truth. Anything that's the truth, it has a no exception rule. Anything that's the truth applies to everything. There are no exceptions. No exceptions. So no real love could leave you out. No real wealth and abundance can leave you out. No peace can leave you out. Nothing real leaves you out. Nothing real excludes you. A love that's real will never exclude you. A love that's real will never exclude you. Abundance that's real would never exclude you. So what does that mean for those who think they don't have love, do not have peace? The people who think they have no abundance. First of all, they're wrong about what they think abundance is. Because anything that's real, you can have right now. Anything that's real, you can have right now. So if you think your abundance is based on how much money you have in the bank, you have no idea about what abundance really is. If you think love is something that another person can deny you, you don't know what love really is. If you think peace is something you can lose because of something that's going on the outer, then the Course is saying you don't know what peace is. So the only person that could be excluding you from the love, from the abundance, from the peace would be who? You. I'm the only one that's excluding me from the abundance, and abundance is a state of mind. I tell people all the time, I'm very rich in everything that matters. I am totally wealthy in everything that matters. Now, I'm not wealthy in everything that doesn't matter. I may not have as much money as Bezos of Amazon. I might not be driving the latest car. I may not have the best body in the world. I may not have the best body. That's debatable there. We'll talk about that later. But the point is that If it's something I can't have now, then it's something that I'm making up, and it's a fantasy that I'd like to achieve. Okay? You with me on that? If I say I'm not going to be happy until I get my law degree, I can right now, today, go ahead and accept that getting the law degree will not make me happy. Before I even go through the 8 years or 6 years. If I'm doing it from the perspective that I think is actually going to make me happy, then I know I'm going after it with the wrong perception. I'm saying this stuff over and over again because I'm trying to save you a lot of time. Spirit is trying to save you a lot of time. The Course in Miracles is trying to save you a lot of time. Now, I've heard that my whole life, that my happiness comes from within and it doesn't come from outside. And I said, that is not a new thought that I've been given. The problem is that it's a true thought, but I have not been willing to accept it as true. So things can be true that you don't accept as true, and things can be true that you don't believe are true. But it nonetheless does not affect the fact that it's true. If somebody loves you, it's not only for you. If somebody loves you, love is inclusive, not exclusive. Love is inclusive, not exclusive. If it's love, it won't cause you suffering. If it's love, it can't be taken away from you. And love is going to give you a sane answer in your insanity. And so the Course says God has given us a sane answer in our insanity. Okay, which is the same as saying, love has given me a loving answer in my fear. The Course in Miracles is only talking about love and fear, which is the same as saying it's talking about freedom and fear. And I like to keep on using that word freedom when I say love. Freedom. Freedom. Now, if you choose to be my slave, you're free. Because you chose it. So it doesn't mean you're not free because you're in a limited situation and circumstance. It just means you've chosen to stay in that limited situation and circumstance out of your own freedom. You're on that job that you hate, but you go to it every day even though you hate it. Nobody's limiting you to that job. You're using your freedom to choose to stay in that situation or that perception. Now, I'm going to give you a little tip that you'll probably learn later in the game. I've been doing the Course in Miracles 40 years. And what I'd like to say to you is that since you're going to end up accepting it as true in the end, just go ahead and save yourself some time and accept it as true right now, even if you don't believe it and don't understand it. See, even if you don't believe something and don't understand it, don't mean you can't practice it. So you could be practicing what I'm saying even as you doubt every word that comes out of my mouth. For instance, if the Course says, if you want peace, you don't attack. Well, you could refrain from attack even though you want to attack. That means you could not hit me even though you want to, right? So just because you don't believe and accept something now doesn't mean that you can't practice it now. And never forget, what's real is always in the now and available now. So if you're seeking anything that you can't have now, you're seeking something that's an illusion, that's not ultimately real. Does that mean you can't have joy from it? No, it doesn't mean you can't experience it in a joyful way. You can experience anything in this world in a joyful way. Because you are joyful and you bring joy into everything you do. You full of love, so you extend love into everything you do. You feel gratitude, so you extend gratitude everywhere you go. So yeah, you can absolutely enjoy everything about this experience if you want to look at it differently. So the Course in Miracles says, no one who hears God's answer but will give up insanity. So what will you do when you finally hear what I'm saying to you about fear, anger, guilt, misperception, and wrong-mindedness? What you're going to do is give it up. You're going to let it go. You know, if I know putting my hand on a hot stove is what's burning it, and as soon as I recognize that that's what's burning my hand and causing me pain, I don't usually grip tighter. I usually go, oh, that's what's causing my pain. Woo! And so sometimes we feel guilty when we let go of people that we used to cause us pain, or jobs that we used to cause us pain. We actually feel guilty about letting go of something that we're hurting ourselves through. And I'll say it again, hurting ourselves through. That nobody's hurting you, but you can certainly go through the illusion of hurting yourself through someone. But I like that thought. Even if I'm the one that's suffering, I like to think I have something to do with it, because then I could also have something to do with letting the suffering go. But if the suffering is caused by you and you're in charge of it, then I've got to look for you. See, I got to make, it starts out with me. It starts out with me. And what I love about this world is that if you don't play the game the way the world plays it, you don't have to worry about whether or not you're going to be having to force people to not deal with you. They're going to voluntarily not deal with you. They're going to voluntarily leave your experience if you won't play the game the way that they want to play the game. So you don't have to worry about that. But can you handle what appears to be that time that it might look like you're alone while you're waiting for the new people who are on the same level of consciousness you're on to be drawn to you? Can you stay on your purpose when your ego tells you it's making you be alone and separate from others? See, that's the thing. It says, guess what? It says, what is God's answer? This is cool. The Course in Miracles is so cool. It says, God's answer is the reference point beyond the false ideas, beyond the illusion. So the Course in Miracles is a reference point beyond your fear, beyond your guilt, beyond. It's like it's saying, you are told that love would never hurt you, love would never cause you suffering. That's coming from a point of view beyond your suffering. That's coming from a point of view beyond your fear. There's your fear, and then you need to go beyond your fear to what the answer is, and then look back on your fear from the position of the answer. See, but most people stop at the fear. They stop right here, and they make that the only reality. Oh, everybody else is doing it to me. There's no need to go beyond that perception because that's obvious. It's obvious my mama did it, my daddy did it, my childhood did it, my job did it, everybody else did it. That's obvious. Why should I go beyond that? They need to change. They need to change. But the Course in Miracles says God's answer, love's answer, is the reference point beyond the false ideas, beyond the fear. So that's what the Course in Miracles is. That's what any truth teaching is. It's what? It is a reference point. Now, a reference point doesn't make me do anything. If somebody says, hey, if you want to get to Ray Street, it's right up there at Pete's Kitchen. It's exactly the reference point you can use, and you know you at Ray Street. Pete's Kitchen doesn't do nothing to me. Pete's Kitchen doesn't do anything for me. Pete's Kitchen doesn't force me. It's a reference point. The Course in Miracles is a reference point. It's not going to force you to do anything that it's saying, to believe anything that it's saying. So I want to be a reference point too. You can use me as a reference point. I'm trying to be a reference point beyond fear, but I'm not trying to control you or trying to make you do anything at any level. Believe me, I won't lose any sleep tonight if you don't agree with me. I really won't. I really, really won't, because I want to be a reference point of love beyond your fear. So the Course in Miracles says, what's the beautiful thing about being a reference point? It says, then you can look back. You can look, I got my reference point, of course, so I can look back at my fears and see my fears and some of my thinking as being what? Insane. So if I know how a sane mind thinks, I can look back on the insanity in my mind, and the Course says I can see the insanity as the insanity. So I don't care how fine your body is. If you're crazy, I don't want to get into a relationship with you. You can be a really pretty person poisoning my coffee. So your physical body has nothing to do with how safe you are for me. What has to do with how safe we are for each other is the sanity, which is the same as saying the love and truth that we have in our minds. So it used to be the body came first, and then I'd hope that the mind would be sane. And if I really wanted the body, and more than I was interested in the mind, well, I just try to bring that person to a class and get them to read a book or something. You know what I'm saying? Because if the body is more important than the mind, then you're going to overlook the mind so that you can have the bodily experience. But you forget that there's a mind that comes with every body. And so you're going to be dealing with the way that person thinks. And then you're going to have to experience with that person their way of thinking. If you're in a relationship with them, you're going to have to experience with them their way of thinking. Sort of like if you're dealing with somebody and this credit score affects yours. All of a sudden you can't, by yourself, you could qualify for a car, you got with them, and they'll run you out the car dealership as soon as you got through the door. Now you are experiencing the result of the way that person thought and handled things that you now see yourself in a relationship with. Does that make sense to everybody? You're going to deal with the results of how that person thinks that you form any kind of relationship or partnership with. And so the Course in Miracles is saying to us, love is inclusive. Love doesn't cause suffering. Love doesn't single out and doesn't include anybody else. That's the truth reference point. So when I look back and I see any kind of attack, specialness, exclusion, fear, guilt coming from a person, then I know that's a reflection of the insane mind, and the insane mind is the mind that doesn't know its oneness with all that is. That's the Course in Miracles definition of insane. Like I say, I'm really trying to gear my classes more and more toward people who are studying the Course in Miracles. And why do I do that? Because and that doesn't mean I'm not glad to have anybody watch, whether they're studying or not. But I've worked on this for 40 years, and I feel like I could be helpful to people and help people save time. And so I just want to especially help those people who are studying the Course in Miracles save time, because I've seen Course in Miracles students, and I have done the same thing, self-sabotage themselves over and over and over, and let their own egos and false perceptions get them in an impossible situation. And that's a situation where you're saying, how did I get into this? How did this happen to me? How did I end up in the situation I'm in right now? You're not listening to love. You're listening to the world. You're listening to fear. Well, you could just say, you're listening to yourself. You're listening to the part of you that doesn't know the truth. So the Course in Miracles says, seek this place and you will find this place. What is the place that when you seek, you will find? The place that you will find when you seek is this place of truth that is the reference point beyond false ideas and beyond illusions. Seek the place of truth in you, and the Course says you will find it because love is in you. That's what you're seeking, love. Where is it? It's in me. Oh, I was looking for it in this and that and you and this thing over here and that trip over here and that weight over there, that money over there. I was looking for the love in all the wrong places, right? And so the Course in Miracles says love is in you, but it also says something else interesting in the second part of that sentence, which is what? Love will lead you there. Love will lead you to love. Love leads to love. And that's what I noticed. The more loving I become and the more peaceful I become, my peace and love seems to attract me and draw me to other people who want peace and love. If I really want it, and then those who don't want it, for whatever reason, they don't seem to be attracted to me anymore, or if they are, it's only for a very short time because they'll see that they can't control me in any way. So therefore, I would become somebody they would say doesn't love them, right? Okay, and that's okay. That's all right, because if the truth is true, we're going to all come to the realization sooner or later, so don't worry about it. Nobody loses in this game. The Course in Miracles says, this is a game that no one can lose. No, and the more that any one of us have, the more it is for everybody else. So it's sort of like, oh, you just won $1 million. And so did everybody else. Because whatever love gives, it leaves nobody out. Okay, I'm just telling you. So don't act like what I'm saying is complicated. You know that what I'm saying is not complicated at all. The reason why it seems complicated is either because you're not doing it, or you don't want to do it, or you don't know you should do it. You know what I'm saying? So if I'm saying love is inclusive and you don't want an inclusive love, you're not going to like what I'm saying right now. You know, if you think money is what's going to make you happy, and I'm telling you that no, if you're just seeking stuff just for money, that ultimately won't make you happy. Of course, that's not going to thrill you right now, because that's going to make you feel like you're wasting your time, and you're not. This world is not to be condemned. It is to be correctly perceived, not condemned, okay? So love will lead you there. All right, so we're going to go to the function of time right quick. Love is in you. And love will lead you to love. Freedom is in you. And freedom will lead you to freedom. Peace will lead you to peace. Joy will lead you to joy. And God will lead you to God. Who? God will lead you to God. Not you, not you. God will lead you to God. That's what's happening right now. God is leading you to God. Right now. Listen to me right now. Listen to me right now. Listen to me right now. Love is in you. Love is in you. Freedom is in you. Freedom is in you. The answer is in you. The answer is in you. The power is in you. You hear what I said? That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking. I gotta have some funk in there, man. I can't do another one of them spiritual classes that's dull as hell and don't have no energy. I can't do it. It's not the people that God sends to me. Those who need it that way don't come my way. Don't, because you're not gonna like me. Don't spend another second trying to get somebody to like you. You know that's not the right person because they don't like you. It's not rocket science here. But your ego is going to say, well, your job is to learn how to like them. Well, I'll get around to them. I'll get around to you. I'm not going to make the person that makes me the most miserable my primary focus, which is exactly the way the insane mind does it. Ignores the people who are loving, ignores the people that they have peace with, call them every now and then, but then spend most of their time around people and dealing with people that they don't like at all, and they're trying to constantly process it, fix it, and try to get them to, and they'll go, oh, that's my spiritual lesson. I think that's great for you to look at it that way if you're going to stay in the situation. I think if you're going to stay in the situation, you need to look at it as a lesson. That's what you say to people who still want to suffer. You call it a lesson. And you say it's a lesson you have to learn. Okay, that's just making you not feel dumb for staying in that crazy relationship. Okay, so we'll call it a lesson you have to learn. Does that make you feel better as you're hanging out the window by your ankle? Okay, all right, I'm glad. I'm so glad that you know that. Aren't you sometimes amazed at how long you put up with crap? How long you put up with something that you know is not giving you any peace or joy, and you have endless patience for it? As a matter of fact, I used to think being spiritual meant I could suffer longer better.
And how much effort?
It's like, oh, I'm spiritual, so I can stay in this situation that brings me no peace a long time because I'm spiritual. And the Course in Miracles says, no, as you begin to wake up, even minor intrusions of discomfort will become intolerable. You don't become better at handling pain, you become worse at handling pain. Yeah, you go, I can't put up with this like I used to. And you hear people say that, I can't put up with this like I used to. That's a sign you waking up, folks. It's not a sign you're impatient. The Course in Miracles says, if you want to be impatient and you have developed the ability to be impatient, it's a muscle, it's strong, you're good at impatience, you're great at impatience, well, we're going to use your impatience. How about that? Since you have more impatience than patience, and I'm God, and I'm smart, so I'm going to use your impatience. And this is what I want you to do with it. Become impatient with meeting with God. Become impatient with meeting with your joy. Become impatient with meeting into your peace and your sanity. Become impatient to be happy. Be impatient about that. That's how you can use your impatience if you have a lot of impatience. And so all that time you spend building up impatience will not be for nothing. Isn't that great? Everybody got any impatience in here? All right, okay. All right. So, the function of time, or fight. Okay, it's time to fight you. All right, are you ready to be fighted? All right. Are you going to be fighted up? Okay. Well, now the reason why you're afraid of this course should be obvious, apparently. Now the reason why you should be, I love this, he says, now the reason why you are afraid should be obvious to you. What? The reason why you should be afraid. Why? Because this is a course on love. You're afraid because this is a course on love because it's about you. This is a course on love because it's about you. And who are you? You're love. The Course in Miracles says, You are love. That's what you are. You're not trying to put love in you. Love is what you are. Love is covered up. It's covered up with false beliefs that you have about yourself that you learned in the past. I'll say it again. The love in you is covered up by false ideas you learned in the past. And how did you learn those false ideas about yourself? You're not enough. You're inadequate. You're not beautiful. How did you learn that stuff? Because it was repeated to you over and over and over again in some form or fashion. When I was young, with the color skin I have, all I heard all the time over and over again is you're oppressed. You're oppressed. You are oppressed. You're a victim. You're oppressed. You're a victim. You're oppressed. You know, and I'm sure that all of you have your story of where you've heard that. And after a while, you see it that way. That becomes your perspective. It becomes the only thing that you notice. So the same way you learned how to see things the way you see them now is the exact same way that you learn how to see differently, through repetition. Through repetition. That's why I call myself the divine repetition teacher, the truth repetition teacher. That's why I don't analyze in my classes, and that's why you're not seeing me use my classes as any kind of therapy session for anybody. Those called clarity sessions. Hit me up. I'll be glad to do it with you. But that's not the purpose of my class. The purpose of my class is if you walk out of here today and you realize that your suffering isn't being caused by God, that love doesn't cause suffering, that the answer is within you, all you have to do is seek it there, and that love will lead you there, the universe will lead you there, and you remember that love will lead you there, and it doesn't include suffering and attack. If you just remember that, then every time you see yourself going through some type of suffering in a relationship, you will remember that that's not love, that's fear, and you would want to move in another direction. If you just walk out of here with that one thing, your life would change. If you just walked out of here with that today, your life would change. So why do we need to analyze that? There's nothing to analyze about that. Like the Course says, you have been told that your function in this world is healing. What is my function in this world? It's healing. What does the Course in Miracles say healing is? It says that healing is joy and it's the undoing of fear. He says healing is the end of fear. It's the end of guilt. So what is your real function according to the Course in Miracles? Every day you're supposed to be undoing guilt, undoing fear, undoing any separation, guilt, fear, or anger, or unforgiveness, or grievance that you have in your mind. That's your function, to not add to the fear and guilt and suffering that's already here, that's already being perceived. I know you might say your function is to be a teacher in the world, or a doctor, or a lawyer, or a Lyft driver, whatever you happen to be doing in your experience of teaching the Course in Miracles in the class. That's just the form I'm going to act out my function in. If I'm a plumber, that's just the form I'm going to act out my function. But my function as a plumber is to heal. So everything that happens to me that day, I'm supposed to use it to remember love is the only reality and to undo any kind of guilt or anger or grievances. That's your function. And it says your function in heaven. What is heaven? The Course in Miracles says heaven is reality. If our reality is so awesome, we would call it what? Heaven. So when the Course says heaven, it's talking about our true reality. It's talking about where we came from, what we are, what's really real. So when you hear that term, you're going to go to heaven, you're going to go to love, you're going to go to joy, you're going to go to peace, you're going to go to abundance. You're going to heaven is our natural state. It's our reality. Being in a place that we're afraid to touch each other, be around each other, to do anything, and we're in separation, shut off, fearful about jobs, and that ain't heaven, folks. I don't know how to break it to you, but that ain't heaven. So the Course in Miracles says, you're right, this isn't your reality. But it is something you made up out of your misperception, out of wanting to be singled out. You're going through this because you want to be. You know what the problem is? That everybody want to be singled out and they think they're separate. They don't look out for each other. We don't look out for each other because we think we're separate. I don't think your good is my good. I don't think you being fed is the same as me being fed. As long as I'm singled out and I think I'm separate and I think I'm special, I'm going to be looking out for me more than I'm looking out for you. So we're already experiencing the world that you live in when you think you're separate. we should already go, oh, it's the world that we have now, where it looks like there's the haves and the have-nots, and those who are happy and those who aren't. That's the result of believing you're separate. That's the result of losing sight of what love really is. So we already know what that's like, but what would it be like if we thought we were one? And what would it be like if instead of trying to make each other feel guilty, we tried to remind each other of our innocence? What if instead of being worried about everything, we were giving everything to a higher power, and we were getting rid of everything that keeps us from doing that? What would the world be like if you thought just the opposite of the world? What would your life be like? See, that's the experiment I'm taking on right now, because I already know what it's like to think I'm separate from you. I already know what it's like to think I'm a black man in America. I already know what it's like to feel oppression and guilt and anger and grievances and victim consciousness. I already know what it feels like to feel constipated. I already know. I already know what it's like. So I don't have to go that way. You know what I'm saying? Y'all with me? You understand what I'm saying? So don't worry about thinking about the way the world thinks. You already know the result of thinking the way the world thinks. But you may not know the result of having an inclusive love, or seeing everybody as one with you, or taking 100% responsibility for your experience, or loving yourself and treasuring yourself as opposed to judging and condemning yourself. You may not know what that world would look like. So that's my goal, is to know the loving self. And then I want to join with other minds, other people who share that same purpose of love and peace and forgiveness. There's no rocket science. I want to hang out with the people that want what I want. I want to be with the people that want love like I want it. By that I mean want love. Now we're going to all have our own individual ways of getting there, but the goal will be the same. And as long as our goal is the same, we're not going to conflict even if we have individual differences. The motor in the car is not having to process and go to therapy with the transmission, because they are two different things, right? What makes them be in harmony? They're both trying to move the car forward. So if you look at all your relationships as trying to move you forward, if you look at every feeling and emotion you have as emotion you're going to use to move you forward, if you look at everything in your life, no matter how diverse or different it appears to be, as something that's going to move you forward, there won't be conflict. You'll be able to see how it benefits you. So the Course then says the ego, the fear in you, the part of you that's not true, it says that part of you teaches you, the part of you that doesn't love you, you know what it teaches you? It says, the only thing you do is destroy things. That's all you do. You always mess things up. Your function is destruction. You just mess stuff up. He says there's another part that tells you your function is destruction, all you do is destroy things, and guess what? You don't have any function at all in love. You don't have any function in happiness. There's nothing about you that taps into love or taps into happiness. And there's a part of you, do you know there's a part of you, do you want to know how the body dies and it looks like you die? Because there's a part of you that wants you to die. It's not rocket science. When you die, because you want to. There's a part of you that believes in it, thinks it is true, lost track of the fact that you are eternal, that you are spirit. And so the Course says there's a part of you that would destroy you here. And guess what? It will bury you here. So there's a part of my mind that doesn't love me, that thinks I'm separate from God, thinks I'm a body that's a human being that dies one day. And so I just took out some life insurance recently. I wish I had done it at a younger age, because I'm having to give a lot more than I would have at 35. You know. But my point is, there is a part of me that believes something is going to end my life here and I'll be buried here. See, unless you're deep in denial, you probably have to say there's a part of you that believes that at some level, too. Then the Course in Miracles says, leaving you no inheritance except the dust out of which it thinks you were made. So your only inheritance, the only thing that's really yours is this body. That's in the end, that's the one thing. Even if you couldn't pay your bills, even if you didn't have a car, even if you didn't have a house, even if you didn't have a job, you still had what? A body. So you're really, the Course in Miracles says, to your ego, to your fearful mind, to your separate mind, your inheritance is your body. That's all you got, is your body. And it says that, and as long as your ego, the part of you that you think you are, as long as the part of you that thinks that you are separate, the Course in Miracles says, as long as that part of you is reasonably satisfied with you, you're not the worst thing in the world, but you know, I'm kind of satisfied with you. It says it offers you oblivion, But when the part of you that doesn't love you becomes overtly savage, that part of you that don't think you deserve to be happy, when that part of you becomes overtly savage, the Course in Miracles says it offers you hell, which is fear. So the part of me that doesn't love me, that thinks I don't deserve to be loved because of something I probably did in the world that the world said was bad, or wasn't good, or wasn't right. The Course in Miracles says we come up with all these things that people make up that tells us that we're good or bad, that have nothing to do with really universal law or spirit. It's just, that's why values and morality differs from culture to culture to culture, is because it's all made up. So most people are feeling guilty about things that was made up in the first place and not from God. You know, that's just a fact. Some cultures it's okay to have 10 or 15 wives. I personally don't know why you'd be that masochistic, but some people would want to do that, and in that culture that's perfectly okay. Over here you go to jail for it. So that's how you know it's not a true law. That's how you know it's not a true law. If it's true, it applies to everybody. If it's not true, it can vary from culture to culture, race to race, person to person. So most of the morals and beliefs that we're living by are made up. But I would venture to say, no matter what color body you have, no matter where you lived on Earth, if all the oxygen supply evaporated in 2 seconds, regardless of your religion, you would all drop dead as far as the bodies. That's something that's real in a sense. Just as an example. Ultimately, that's not real either, but you see what I'm talking about. If it's real, it applies. If there's any exception, you can write that off as a real truth or a real law. That's how you do it. If it's not true about everybody, it's not true. It's not true about, if you say this person is selfish and greedy, if everybody's not selfish and greedy, it's not true that this person in their truest nature is selfish and greedy. That would mean selfish and greed would be made up, right? Because it's, first of all, it's a personal issue. I call you selfish when you don't do what I want you to do. That's what makes you selfish. You're greedy if you're not sharing with me the way I think you should. So even my upset with you is made up. I'm always making up my upset. And if you're not ready to stop being upset, then this isn't going to turn you on. But I'm not interested in trying to reach people who have no interest in what I have to say. And don't you be interested in trying to reach people who have no interest in what you're trying to say. I'm not trying to reach the listeners who are not interested in what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to reach the people who want to hear what's coming through me to say. And that's the same attitude you need to take in your own personal experience. Who are the people that are thrilled to talk to you, who want to hear what you have to say, who value what you have to say? Move in the direction of the people that value you. Move in the direction of the people that value you. Move in the direction to the people that see you and recognize you. But the part of you that doesn't love you, your ego will have no interest in them. The part of you that doesn't love you has no interest in people who are nice to you, caring to you. That part, the part that thinks I don't deserve to be loved, that I don't deserve to be appreciated, the ego, that part has no interest or respect or excitement that it gets from being around somebody that's treating you well. So the Course in Miracles teaches you to be aware of these things so that you won't hurt yourself again, right? So this is as much as I'm going to cover about this today. So I'm going to, in a minute, do a really quick recap of the main points, and then we can head out into the lab to see how well we're going to be able to pull this off. Yeah. Now, remember, if you're doing it right, it's effortless. If you haven't heard what I'm saying, you're going to think you're struggling. Because all we've said is love will lead you to love. It didn't say you would lead you to love. It said love will lead you. God will lead you to God. That's an important point. But to do that, we have to know when it's not God. We have to know when it's not love. And when it's not God, I'm being attacked. When it's not God, I'm being judged, criticized, and condemned. When it's not God, then I'm looking at lack or some type of sickness. You see what I'm saying? We got to learn how to know when we're not dealing with the truth. The Course says, in the Course it says, you can find out what love is by learning what it's not. That nobody can describe to you what love is. But he said, but I can tell you what it's not. It's not fear, anger, judgment, and attack. It's not being mistreated, in other words. That's not love. So stop saying, I'm jealous because I love them. I'm afraid because I love them. I'm trying to possess them because I love them. Even if you say those things, just tell yourself it's not the truth, even though you feel that way. I'm not saying you might not feel those things. I'm saying they're not something that's coming from love. It's coming from fear. That's what I'm saying. You may be feeling all those things. That's why you're studying this. Those of you who would like to make a financial expression of appreciation or donation, a full-time minister, teacher of the course, you can go to my website, www.earlpurdy, Purdy.com, or you could use Venmo. And on Venmo, you can use my email, earlpurdy@earlpurdy.com. Normally, I'm doing a class on Thursdays on Facebook Live, on the Earl Purdy page, on Facebook Live, on the Earl Purdy page, Hardcore Course in Miracles, 7 p.m. Mountain Time, every Thursday. Also, Sundays, 1 p.m. Mountain Time on the Earl Purdy page. Another Course in Miracles class. Word of mouth is absolutely the best way to let people know about something. If you value it and you think someone might be helpful, turn them on to my Facebook Lives. Post them on your timeline and put them in some groups. You know, help me out. Help me out. Help put it out there. Help put it out there. I truly, truly, truly feel like that's our function, is to join people of a like mind who are asking the same questions you ask. When you said you wanted help in another way of looking at it, and somehow or another this came into your life, then this might be beneficial to somebody else. The person that it may not be, and I don't know for sure, but try not to start with the people who are going to think you're crazy. Okay, just as a little tip, you know, if you're going to share it with somebody, your ego is going to try to get you to pick the person who would be the last one in the world who needs to watch this class, so that you can just get more grief and they can think you're more insane and you get more judgment. Don't fall for that part of yourself, for real. So love is the way we walk in gratitude. Love is the way we walk in gratitude. Love is the way we walk in gratitude. So I'm going to do a quick little recap here. Did you hear what the Course in Miracles said about how you can tell when you're seeing love? Love won't single me out. Love won't single me out. But if I am in special love, if I am in a love that is rather exclusive, that's not a sin. That's not bad. You're not being condemned for that. What you say is, I want to use this to remember love. I want to use this relationship to remember the truth. Let that one person that you give most of your attention to, let that one person represent all people. Let that one person represent everyone, the Course says. Let one brother represent all brothers. So what you're going to do is you're going to take that person and you're going to try as best you can to apply everything that you're studying to that person. That's your full-time teacher. That's your full-time practice partner. So take that one person that you claim you love so much anyway, so that means I shouldn't be asking you to do something that's so hard for you to do. You should be glad that I'm telling you to focus the love on them first. Practice forgiveness with them first. Practice giving freedom without judgment to them first. You claim that's the person you so tight with, so feeling so much love with. And this can be friendships, this can be business partners. I'm not just talking about romantic relationships here. Listen to me. Also, remember that God is not punishing you. God is not punishing you. God is not punishing you. Love is not punishing you. God doesn't punish. God doesn't punish. God doesn't punish. God doesn't punish. God lovingly corrects. God lovingly corrects. Love lovingly corrects. Love heals. Love heals. Love corrects. It doesn't punish. What loves corrects. It lovingly corrects. And it doesn't punish. Take a breath. I want you to hear this. Would you like to change your mind, 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 change your mind? Don't forget what we heard about the point of reference. The truth is the point of reference beyond insanity, beyond fears. That's what the Course in Miracles offers you. Do you know that you are afraid of the Course according to the Course in Miracles? You are afraid of it because it's about love. See, people who don't know what love is, they're afraid of love. They think love is weak. They think love makes them vulnerable. So when you tell people to just love, many people feel afraid when you say that, because they think that means like just being like this rag that anybody can do anything to, and you don't object to anything, and you don't stand up for you, or whatever. People think love is weak because they were hurt by someone who was supposed to love them, or who promised to love them, and then they were open to that person, and they feel like they got really hurt. So now they're afraid of love. They think love makes you vulnerable by being hard, tough, cold, that protects you. And so we got it exactly opposite. And so when the Course says it's a Course about love, there's a part of us that becomes afraid because it's afraid of even loving ourselves. Sometimes when I compliment people and I tell them how wonderful I think they are, I'll get this response. Oh, you say that to everybody. Okay, that's why you should believe me. I don't believe it if you don't start telling somebody else loving things beside me. Right? It doesn't mean that I'm any less sincere because I can see value in others. That doesn't mean my compliment is not real. But see, specialist says what? Single me out. Let me be the only one that you dare compliment. And that's what the Course is saying. So if I don't get complimented, if I don't get singled out, then it hurts me and I suffer. And that's what the Course just got through telling us. To be singled out is the cause of suffering. The fact that you think you could be excluded, it's great when you're getting all that attention. Now, it's a good thing then. But if you're the one that feels like you're outside of the circle of atonement, that you're outside of the circle of fear, then that's not a good feeling. So the Course in Miracles is saying, our Creator would never do that to us. Our Creator would never love anything or anyone else more than us. That we will always be included. But it says you have to seek this place, and you're going to find this place because that love is in you. And the love in you is going to lead you there. This is a course because it's about you. So what is your function? Now, y'all notice I'm repeating. What is your function? Your function is healing. Your function is healing. Now, hear it this way. Your function is healing. Your function is healing. It's healing to you. Your function is healing. Get that? So it means it that way also. If you're trying to end fear, end guilt, end attack, you are healing. And then once you heal in your mind, you're going to heal in the physical world. And how that's going to happen may not be any of your business. You might not know how it's going to happen. But that idea of healing will manifest. And it's going to manifest in the way that won't increase your fear. Because if it increased your fear, it would be making you sick. Follow that? So your answers are going to always come to you at the level you can handle it best without fear. You may not be on a level of consciousness that if you broke your arm and a bone was sticking out and you said, I'm ready for the correct perception of this, and instantly the bone went back in your arm and healed in 2 seconds, that would probably freak you out. So what would Spirit do? Well, go get that cast for 3 months. You see what I'm saying? The healing is going to come to you. The love is going to come to you. The answer is going to come to you in the way that you can receive it best without fear. And so don't pay any more attention to the part of you that thinks you need to suffer, that you need to die here, that you need to be buried here, that there's something about you that doesn't deserve comfort and peace and love. You are a priceless, 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 priceless treasure. That's who you are. Thank you, mighty companions. I need to hear it. I need to hear it. I'm telling you. Listen to this 4 times. 4 times. Don't forget, 4 times. At least.